welcome back to Krown's magical bull market.
Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and I'm reading the chats right now, and yes, indeed, we are all Krown. That's right. You are Krown, he is Krown, she is Krown, Zur is Krown, Zur Derpra is Krown, and also I am Krown too. So with that said, I want to wish you a happy and healthy start to this nice little Thursday. Yeah, it is a Thursday over here. Very overcast today in the good old weather report, getting into the technical analysis as well. Anyways, we do have plenty to talk about as Bitcoin actually did break the short-term time frame range yesterday below about that 39.3 pivot, which did lead into that nice little downfall into the FOMC minutes, which is actually going to be a big focus of today's analysis. But as far as the higher term time frames go, we haven't really changed all that much, so I won't really have too much to add there, but there will be a big focus on the short-term time frames today, obviously. Anyways, with that said, I also want to know, were those like little short videos that I uploaded last night of any value? Because it was actually very, very easy for me to do, doing it through the fucking phone, which is kind of silly, but very, very easy to do in that way, and actually kind of allows me to catch up on things that I, missed during the morning live stream, which I completely missed a massive one yesterday on Ethereum, and that was rather embarrassing, so I felt kind of compelled to put that up there. Anyways, with that said, let's put the focus now on the Krown Chain application, which can be found at app.krownchain.net. It is, by the way, 100% free, and our developers, our lovely developers, have just sent me the new beta of this, which is going to be including so much coin analysis data, which is actually extremely cool, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Okay, it looks like there's a lot of yeses. Okay, that's awesome, man. Well, perhaps I can continue to do that because, especially if it's warranted, obviously, as sometimes we do get that late day price action, and sometimes I definitely do miss things as well. So perhaps that will be the way forwards from here. Anyways, with that said, we do see that the fear and greed index is still right around 26, which is well within the fearful zone, obviously, but as Bitcoin does kind of test the top side of the daily, of the daily range here, I would be looking at that as a little bit more on the Bula side, more or less, because the market is still fearful. Bitcoin's more or less within a range, and technically speaking, we do have a reversal on the daily. More importantly, open interest more or less unchanged from yesterday to today, alongside Bitcoin taking out the low side time frame range. So I do look at that as an indication that we haven't really done anything completely new as far as the higher term time frames go. Lower term time frames, obviously, this is completely different because we are operating within about a $1,500 range right now. But with that in mind, let's see who the big winners and the big losers of the last 24 hours were. Top 10 best coins, we've got AMP, Quant's up there. That one was actually looking pretty damn good. Cosmos, XFin Network, Unis, Waves, Horizon, Zcash, KuCoin, and Engine Coin. It's always like rotations between these sides. It's actually like rather interesting. Anyways, top 10 worst coins, we got Shiba, how dare you? Polygon, The Graph, Telcoin, Curve, OKB, Terra, UMA. Hey, what the fuck? UMA's over there too? Oh, that's Unis and UMA. Okay, got it. Nano and Synthetics all on the losers list. Actually, some decent losses right there, all things considered. So let's go to the market data tab, see what we got as far as the general underlying market dynamics goes. And again, I am drawn to this line chart over here. I actually do think that this current move is showing a lot of signatures of potential another bear trap going on. Now, I don't necessarily think that we're going to, V bottom out of this one exactly at this moment, but I do want to present a bit of a case, very similar to the last couple ones that we saw right here and right here, respectively, as to why this is actually rather similar. And the biggest thing for me is actually the funny rates over here. Funny rates are negative across the board, pretty much. As far as the global goes, it is certainly a global negative average. We see FTX, OKX, BitMEX, and Huobi all posting like decently negative rates. In fact, BitMEX posting perhaps the biggest one that we have seen, realistically, probably since like 2019 more like 2020, if I had to guess. Negative 0.062, which is significant. I mean, you're getting paid a decent amount to actually hodl your longs there. Anyways, more important to this doesn't be incorporated with price action, and putting the puzzle piece together, we do see that funny rates are obviously negative, so you're getting paid to hold long, alongside Bitcoin being more or less around the top side of the range, and realistically having a daily reversal here as well. I do look at this as a very likely trappy situation, alongside open interest more or less unchanged on that short-term move from yesterday. Now remember, this was more or less event-driven. This was from the FOMC, which was essentially, they decide on the interest rates and whatnot, and there's a lot of focus on that, of course, with inflation as well. And they did the same sort of rigmarole as they typically do. They said, okay, we're not changing them, maybe in 2023. However, that's also highly, variable as well. We don't really know. You can definitely tell that Jerome Powell and And that lady, that fucking lady, god damn it, her name is escaping me right now, which is actually rather embarrassing. But more importantly, Janet Yellen. There we go. Hey, what are you laughing at over there? Anyways, anyways, with that in mind, when I was listening to them, as always, they're extremely careful with their wording, and they offered up pretty much nothing new. So the expectation was obviously nothing new, and that's essentially what we got. So I do look at this as a more or less trapping move, essentially built off of this, short-term event. And for reference, in traditional markets, when we would have FOMC minutes coming out, which always happens on a Wednesday, I'd actually always shut down my system, or not shut down my system, I'd technically go maintenance for about an hour before the event, and then usually about 5 to 10 minutes afterwards, I'd actually trade it because there's a lot of volatility and usually a lot of opportunity within that. But this is kind of like a wildcard event, and realistically, there's no real way to know the the outcome of it. So these things get a little bit priced in beforehand. That was the essential downside move from about 40,000 to where we're at right now. And then after that, assuming that no changes are made, well, typically speaking, you will see a reversion back up. So in this case, I actually do think that we are seeing several signatures that could imply that this is a bit of a trappy situation here. We'll actually start off with our low-term timeframes over here today. Before we get into that, let's go look at our put call market over here. We do see the 17th expiration today is actually suggesting that we probably don't break down really any further than where we're currently at. Very likely stay somewhere around about 39,000 bucks for the next few hours. This one will be expiring. Let me just check my clock over here. Yeah, in about 3 hours, it looks like a little bit less than 3 hours. So I'd imagine that Bitcoin very unlikely, travels too far away from about 39,000 bucks, where that closed a few bucks above, a few bucks below. It's more or less the same. So I do think that we're kind of range bound right now in the short-term timeframes until that expiration does happen. And then we obviously have the weeklies tomorrow, which obviously mean a lot more as well. And what are we getting from this? We're actually not getting as much from this because we really don't see any of the put strikes getting picked up all that much. Open interest over here again is going to suggest that this is very inconsequential in comparison to the monthlies that are coming up the weekend after, which we've had a big focus on. But I do want to just briefly talk about this, just in case we do see anything, being rolled after this current expiration. But currently speaking, $37,000 strike would have a little bit of interest in it. And that actually will line up with a few things in this, in the short-term time frame analysis. But ultimately, I'm not getting too much from this right now. It does suggest that we probably do not trade above 42,000 bucks, or at least close above 42,000 bucks by by expiration tomorrow. Now, of course, expiration is about, well, for me, or actually no, if I could, I can make I can figure it out in British Standard Time. I believe it'd be about 9 a.m. British Standard Time, as you guys are about 2 hours behind us, and I know that it's 11 a.m. for myself. So there should be a little bit of activity there. And then obviously the big setup is for June 25th, of which we have significant open interest going on over here. And I would still say that this very likely does align with Bitcoin closing somewhere around 40,000 bucks, maybe a little bit above. Very unlikely we do close below 36,000 bucks by end of next week, and very unlikely that we do close above 44,000 bucks now. So I do think that we are a little bit range stricken here, and ultimately this does look like a very obvious strangle going on between 36 and 44 right now. So I do look at that as very much playable. And what does that essentially mean? We're probably gonna land somewhere within 40,000 bucks if I had to guess within the next week. But that is a long time to go. And in the interim, can we have a little bit of short-term movements? Yes, absolutely we can. So let's go over here to our short-term timeframes, and I'm actually gonna do an hourly today because, well, why the fuck not? Remember, yesterday we did have this pivot right around about 39,300. We did break it a little bit after the after ending yesterday's stream. Then that would initiate the target to the downside to fill the CME gap, of which I believe that was at about 38,000 bucks. And would I consider this filled already? Yeah, more or less I would consider this filled. Perhaps we have one more stab down to about 38 even, if you want to be super exact with it. Actually, we've already got down to about 38 even, perhaps maybe just a couple $100 lower to like 37.7. But ultimately, I do look at this as first and foremost a potential for a trap. Again, given the underlying market dynamics that we looked at for the funding rate, the open interest, and also to a lesser extent the fear and greed index. But looking at this right now, if we do go into the momentum charts over here, we do see that 4 hour is, well, all the way on the floor right now, and wouldn't really take all that much to actually twist it back up. 38,900 is the magical number right here. Obviously, that number is going to come down even more so coming into the next closure, which is in about 3 hours as well. If we look at the 3 hour, I imagine it's going to be right there as well. And what do you fucking know? 38.3 is magical number, and we are currently about 500 bucks, almost 500 bucks above that at the current moment in time. And the buy hourly is showing what? 38.5. Same side. Hourly is showing what? 38.5 as well. So we see a lot of things coming around that region, and I would be suggesting a bit of a pivot here, at least short term. And I just want to call this one out as well. And credit to Mr. Plums. I don't know if Mr. Plums is in the comment section right now, but on the weekly, we actually are hitting a rather interesting level on the weekly now, aren't we, for weekly Stokes? We do see that we're coming down all the way to multi-year trend line, going all the way back to December 2018. That is connected with your actual momentous move a little bit later from that move from about 4,000 to 14,000. Then we see it over here in October 2019, once again in December 2019, and then presumably we will be officially testing it by the end of this weekend at Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Anyways, let me just turn off the alerts. What's up, Mr. Scott Carney? I haven't seen you in a couple days, man. You okay, sir? Anyways, give me some good news. Fair enough. We'll see what we can do over there. We'll see what we can do. But yes, I do want to point this out. So we do see that all lower term timeframes are kind of lining up with each other right now. We still have a little bit of a little bit of proving to do. And then as far as structure goes, I'll go back on over here to Bitcoin on the very short term timeframes, and we can essentially use the exact same level as yesterday as a as a confirmation of trap. And if this level does get taken out to the upside, and I really want to see at the very I'm using an hourly right now. I do not feel comfortable using an hourly for a closure, but in this case, it probably would work out, or a wick higher than this little Darth Maul dildo right here from yesterday, and that would be about 39.7, which is not as helpful. But the implication would be if Bitcoin can actually close above this region, or tick, or just tick a little bit higher than this guy right here, then I would be looking for another move back up towards the highs of this run, somewhere just below about 41,000 bucks, and I would still be looking at a general target of about 43, maybe even 44,000 bucks. Coming into like the next week or so to play off that region. Now we can make a bit of a Fibonacci retracement here as well, and that actually will directly align with with about the $43,000 level, and actually make a nice little pocket right there, which I actually want to mark off with this ray. Here we go, between the 414 and the 272. So if Bitcoin does break above our current $41,000 high, then yes, I would be looking somewhere around here, and for Bitcoin to play within this pocket for a bit. And could we still keep the hopes alive for a move into the deeper 40,000? Yes, but that's only if that happens in this case. For right now, if you are looking at this as a trap, then what would imply that this is not going to be a trap? What would imply that this is going to break the fuck down and come all the way back down to low 37? Well, I think it's actually rather simple right here and rather obvious. We do see the 618 coming in right around about what is this? Yeah, let's just call it 38,000 bucks, and the 200 simple will naturally start to align with there as well. So as long as we're above there, I actually do look at this as very likely a trap. Volume signature on this is a bit more indicative of that as well. You can see that we really don't have a change of behavior here just yet, and I do favor the trend over everything else. So in this case, the daily trend has, well, quite literally put in a bit of a reversal right there. So I do put a lot of weight on that. And that means that as long as Bitcoin remains above that pivot, I do look at this as more likely to be a trap than not. Not confirmed just yet, however, will be confirmed with what we just spoke about right there, with the closure above there. Sir, are you okay? Are you okay over there? Elsa's having a laugh attack. Anyways, let's see what the TSI is looking like right now. We do see hourly TSI is turning up. Bi hourly is, well, down. 3 hours going to be down as well, and 4 hours going to be down. But all those are in the bullish buy zone. I'm curious what the 12-hour and daily say. Yeah, these ones are a little bit more concerning here, so it definitely could be a bit of a pivot. And of course, if Bitcoin does get rejected here, we have to think about what would be the implications. So while I am suggesting that this could be a trap, it is certainly unconfirmed right now. And if we do start to take out, let's say 37.5, especially to the downside on a 4-hour delta closure, then we will inevitably have this death cross coming in right here. And this is a real death cross, not that simple moving average bullshit with both negative slopes on the green 55 and the purple 200. These are exponential moving averages. They will be exponentially more powerful as well, and at that point you have to start to be looking for another move back down to the low side of the range at like 33 or 34,000 bucks, and potentially even a break on top of that. Now I think that's a little bit less likely to happen here, and generally speaking, my general idea of what's going on right here still more or less holds as far as Bitcoin putting in one long form accumulation. If you are going to be long-term bullish on this is what it very likely looks like, something like this, putting in a big base within this region right here over the next 2 to 3 months or whatever it ends up being. So with that in mind, you and Trey, Scott, what the fuck's going on over there, man? So this is what I'd be looking for, if I do want to be long-term bullish. Of course, still, if Bitcoin does break below, let's call it 33, or even at this point, like 34 and a half, I would be looking very likely down for a move to, below 30,000 bucks overall. So that's still within the cards, obviously, but I do think that we are kind of at a pivotal moment right now. I know a lot of people are looking at this price action, something resembling like this. Let's see. Let me just pull this on right here. They're looking at, let me just get rid of all this shit right here. We just want to be looking at it like this. I just wanted to address this really, really quickly. A lot of people are looking at this price action as some sort of like a descending channel, which typically does have a bullish resolution. And technically speaking, you would have a bullish resolution right here. The problem with this is that if this was an actual resolution, you'd really expect to see volume signature start to really turn to the up, really turn up to kind of confirm this as a legitimate break. I suspect that that's not what we're doing right here. I think that's, I think that's kind of grasping a little more at straws than what I typically find comfortable with. But I did want to address that because that's actually the one formation that I think you probably could fit onto this current price action, but it's just not operating as such. So I'm inclined to say that that pattern very unlikely works. And of course, if you really start to break back down below, guess where, 37.5, well, I would already call that a swing failure pattern, and very likely Bitcoin will come back down significantly at that point, another few $1,000. But for right now, I do think that there is a strong, or at least a decent likelihood of a trap here. And we've been in a kind of a trap market recently. I mean, we had a phenomenal bear trap right here, another phenomenal bear trap right here, and then could we put another one right here? I mean, if that does happen, that would be your stair-stepping behavior, and that would really align with a move back up to about 42.5 to 43,000 bucks. And then come back to it and kind of reanalysize it from there. So with all of that in mind, is there something else that I wanted to address here? Yeah, definitely, actually. Okay, so what's very profound to me right here is the fact that Dixie had a phenomenal move yesterday. Phenomenal move right before the Fed meeting. You can see that it went up all the way to our $91 target, even overshot it by a little bit, all the way up to about 91 and 37 cents. So I would be looking for a little bit of a short-term high right here. However, we do have, or at least let's confirm on the weekly first. Yeah, I am a little bit concerned about the weekly here. Could this carry on for more to about 92.5? It's possible, yes. Obviously, I want to see the closure tomorrow, but by regular market close tomorrow, or actually Forex market close tomorrow, we should have a lot of clarity on whether Dixie is looking for more or not coming into the next week, and preferably and realistically next month as well. I mean, looking at this right here, I do still remain more or less long-term bearish on it. I don't think that there's too many bullish things to be spoken about on, especially like the higher term time frame charts, which will be actually closing at the end of, well, essentially next week, which is the end of the next month, and that's going to be the end of the next, actually no, we got another 14 days on this. What the fuck? Wait, what? How many weeks are in this bitch? Oh, I see. Okay, we do have all the way to 30, but yeah, that will be the last Friday next week. But that's not going to be the week. But that's not going to be the monthly. That will be the weekly. Anyways, regardless of that, we would still be having this right here, and very likely to confirm something like this. I mean, this is, no matter which way you kind of cut this is a breakdown here, and it is a trend reversal. I mean, we have high, low, lower, high, and already closing on lower lows, so that would be presumably a very, another lower low. So I'm curious what the quarterly looks like at this point as well. Yeah, quarterly still weak, but quarterly still weak. I don't really have too much to add on to it other than that. So ultimately, if Dixie does start to rally up rather aggressively, I would be a little bit more leaning towards a downside resolution on Bitcoin. But this would be, at the very least, a short-term pullback from this region. I'd be looking for it to play between the 200s here, between about 91 bottom and about 91.5 top, and look for a resolution probably next week. I don't think that we're going to do too much more this week with regards to that. And while I don't think, momentum oscillators here are actually going to be more or less bullish, I do want to go back into Bitcoin now and talk about why I think that we are lining up with another reason why, I completely forgot this one. Oh, dear Lord, man, I'm all over the place today, but apologies on that. Anyways, I completely forgot this one. So one of the most important things for me on Bitcoin right here too is, of course, the BBWP on the 4-hour and lower term timeframes. And we actually still see this more or less in a contractive phase. The moving average on this remains with a downside slope, and so that tells us that we're not necessarily ready for that expansion. So within the context of the last day of price action, if this was going to be a full-on breakdown, we would have expected to see this start to really turn around and accelerate to the upside on the BBWP, with volatility expansion while price action breaks down, on the range. We don't necessarily have that right now. In fact, if anything, we just have the same sort of low volatility swing around the current structural low. So again, that does kind of align with a little bit more likelihood of a potential trap within this region, and all lower term timeframes are basically the same here. We see the 4-hour, the 3 hours, actually the 3 hours actually ready for expansion here. Bi-hourly is coming back down, and hourly, I believe, is on the floor. Last I checked, yes, indeed it is. So ultimately, I do think that we are looking at a move today. I wouldn't mind another test back down somewhere around 38,000 bucks. We can definitely get another wick down around there, 38.3. That's not breaking structure, but with any sort of expansion, if you do see any sort of expansion, especially with the moving average on this getting a positive slope, and then Bitcoin, let's say, closes or even just test back around about 39.2 to 39.3, I would be looking at that as the next sort of puzzle piece to kind of confirm this as a bit of a trap. So it's definitely a possibility right now. It is not confirmed. It's very similar to when we were right around here on Sunday, I believe it was, and we said, hey, look, this is very likely a trap, but you don't really have a confirmation of trap till you get back above about 30. I think it was like 35.8 or 35.8 or 35.9. And then once that happened, well, the rest was history. I mean, kind of same thing here as well. So I would give it a bit of a chance. Yes, we do have conflicting signals on both sides, but structurally speaking, I think that makes it a lot more simple. And at the end of the day, man, I mean, realistically, there's only a couple major areas to be aware of, and that would be, of course, about 39.2 to 39.3 to the upside versus on the short-term timeframes about $38,000 to the downside. Again, this is CME gap fill, so we can say that the last Friday's closure is now fulfilled. And if we do actually drop lower, then that would be, well, very much indicative of a real breakdown. So with that in mind, there is perhaps a lot to be aware of today. In fact, I do think that we are getting ready for like an actual move. That is what the BBWP would suggest. So I think that we are on the precipice of that. Things have been more or less boring. I can definitely tell with this channel and with other channels, a lot of my YouTuber friends are complaining that people aren't watching right now. And I can also tell you on my channels that definitely viewership is is down as well. And that's typically when things are more or less likely to do something interesting, as when no one's paying attention, well, the markets usually speak. And with that in mind, it's usually around the time that everyone's talking about these markets that you are probably reaching the precipice of major moves, both the upside or the downside. And right now, I feel like everyone's kind of bored out of their mind, waiting for a move outside of this $41,000 to $32,000 range, of which, well, I do think that we're probably going to see within this next week. Actually, at least that is what the options market would show, and that is what several underlying market dynamics would show as well. All right, I did want to maybe talk about traditional markets really quickly. We got a bit of a pullback on NASDAQ, which I think we said was likely yesterday, but I am not bearish on this either. I just look at this as another very likely higher low. Probably does get another try back up to, just north of $14,000, but I don't necessarily think that this one's ready to melt yet again to the upside, at least not this week. Let's see what the monthly looks like here. Yeah, monthly's still pretty damn good. What about SPY futures? A little bit more toppy right there, to be fair, and Dow Jones is potentially a lot more toppy, actually. In fact, this one does not look like the picture of health and fitness. Oh, fuck, that's the other thing that I wanted to address as well. Ha! All right, there we go. If you talk around in circles enough, it all comes back to you. And we do see on Ethereum. So this was the big one yesterday. And this is why I made that short video near sort of like the end of the day for myself yesterday. And it was more or less because we confirmed yet again another lower high on Ethereum and a slew of lower highs, which is not the most bullish thing of all time. So while I am presenting an interesting case for Bitcoin, it seems very obvious that altcoins are not being the beneficiaries of that, or at least at the same pace. Bless you, sir. Anyways, with that in mind, we do see that same sort of interplay between, Bitcoin dominance and these macro moves. Bitcoin dominance essentially shoots up, it trends up whenever we are within the midst of like a macro trending move for Bitcoin specifically, that is. And we do see that right now, actually. If we bring it on over here, let's just actually double check on this one. But looking at the Krown chain application, we already kind of confirmed that. Yeah, we do see that this is in the midst of printing in. Well, it's already printed in a higher low right here. Can we get a higher high? Not necessarily just yet, but anywhere above about 46 3/4, then we will certainly have that. And this is going to go much higher than that if that does happen, probably back around about 50 or 51. So with that said, it is very much relevant to be looking at this, at this next break of range as like the move, meaning that if we do break to the upside, very likely test into the deeper 40,000s. If we do break to the downside, very likely down to at least $25,000 and probably even $20,000. But for right now, I do give it the benefit of the doubt, and I do go with the prior trend, of course, as the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, as the saying goes. Looking at the weekly right here, it's not really giving me too much on it. So yeah, I think that would actually be a good place to cut this one off and likely get into the chatties here. Let's see what else it has for me. Okay, all right. And let me just pull this up over here, and let me turn back on the alerts, and we can see what we got going on right now. Scott Carney says SNDL daily is bottom in at 50 EMA. Give me good news. Give me good news. Well, Well, there's always good news, depending upon your perspective, sir. Depending upon your perspective. Okay, so you are asking, is bottom in at the 50 EMA? Well, I'm guessing you're talking about the daily. You are talking about the daily. Is the bottom in that? No, I don't think so, man. Look, man, I remember we saw this one. I don't think you've been here like the last few days, but maybe we looked at it last week. I still stick with what I've been saying there, man. I think you're going sideways and probably test the downside of this range somewhere around about 80 cents first. Long term, I do think that you probably get another try to the upside. I mean, this is a reversal right here. There's change of behaviors, signatures all the way around. So I am inclined to say that. But if you're asking if like this is the bottom right here, no, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that. I mean, we see daily TSI turning down freshly. We see daily RSI more or less consolidating. And when I see something like that, I'm more or less looking for a consolidation of this range. Seems we just tested the top side of the range. I'd be looking for a test of the bottom side of the range, probably somewhere down around about 80, low 80 cent, maybe even just lower than that, somewhere around the 200 here. But ultimately, long term, if that's what you're worried about, I do look at this as a weekly reversal, and very likely does pop back up north of like, I don't know, $1.50 or $2. Very interesting weekly, however. Yeah, weekly definitely paints a better story. That is. But I do think that ultimately this one's going to take a bit of time. I mean, I'd be waiting for BBWP over here to get back down to single digits before looking for like a move outside of the range. That is. All right, Mimi's at Butter My Biscuits. What's up, man? Krown invented meatloaf because fuck bread loaf. That's right, man. Unnecessary carbs. We don't need that. Only meat, sir. Only red meat is the perfect one. Scott Carney says, you and Trey's trade. Is that Trayvon James? is that? I don't know if it is or not. Went to the hospital during the same week. Is that coincidence or is a bad batch of Adderall going worldwide? Maybe it is, man. Maybe it is. But I suspect my issues were maybe a bit different than his. I'm not. Is that Trayvon? I was gonna say Trayvon Martin. Did I say Trayvon Martin? No, is it Trayvon, the guy from BitConnect is what I'm trying to say. I don't know his last name, man. Does anyone know his last name? Or is that even his name to begin with? Bitcoin. Yeah, it's Bitcoin Trey. Yeah, it's Bitcoin Trey. Man, I'm all over the place today. Chris Crescendi says, not specifically crypto related, how plugged into the intellectual dark web are you, if at all? And if you are, how much does it affect your outlook? I definitely like listening to them speak. I think that a lot of those guys are obviously very knowledgeable and have a lot more expertise in things that I have absolutely none in. I mean, Eric Weinstein, Brett Weinstein, his brother, I guess Jordan Peterson's in there too. And, Joe Rogan's probably in there. I mean, yeah, I respect all those guys, and I definitely listen to what they say, especially when they speak, on their like major platforms. But how much does it affect like my outlook on life or my outlook on the charts? My outlook on the charts is pretty much unchanged by them. Economists are notorious for just being absolutely dastardly predictors, especially when it comes to trading. But if you're talking about like their outlook on life, I think it's incredibly interesting. I think it's been extremely fascinating to watch the whole Brett Weinstein episode unfold with like, he was one of the first people kind of blowing the whistle on COVID, and he got like completely demolished from it. And then, half a year later, it turns out he's proven correct on everything, literally on everything, which is so fucking fascinating to me. That why was there so much a pushback to him at the beginning when he's a very reasonable person? Like, you can't say that this is like a far right crazy, neo-Nazi lunatic. Like, this is a really he's also Jewish, so probably not going to be a neo-Nazi, but like there's that little caveat, right? But he's a very like soft-spoken, reasonable person who does not jump to hyperbole and has a pretty damn good track record with being with being honest and having high integrity. It's just so strange to me to see someone like that get absolutely silenced. I mean, it's also like the Unity 2020 thing. Like, why was that silenced? I mean, that seemed like it was a really potentially good idea. I mean, yeah, we should get together and like put aside our fucking stupid political tribalism differences, because they're ridiculous to begin with and mostly manufactured, and let's like look for a better way to do things. It seemed pretty damn reasonable to me, man. Like, how does that get twisted around into being something bad? I have no fucking idea, man. That's what fascinates me about those guys. Why is there so much pushback there? Anyways, what's up, Spencer Smith? Hey man, all good, sir. XY holding 4 years. You mean like you're holding it for 4 years? That's an interesting. Okay, I guess that's not that. It is a crypto, I guess. Okay. So you're holding it for 4 years, or you have been holding it for 4 years. Well, the problem with holding it for the last 4 years is that you are not at break even yet, and it still looks, yeah, it's probably a good short term here. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Holding for or do you mean like you're going to hold it for 4 years from here? If you're looking at versus Bitcoin pair, it's actually, I mean, short term, it's, you know, it ain't too bad. We do have a bit of reversal going on right here, and I do suspect that this one has more to go. You know, you did break the prior major range. So realistically, I would be looking for another, I'd be looking for some sideways within this range and then probably work its way up over time back up to like 34 or so. But again, it really depends on what Bitcoin's doing here. If Bitcoin does start trending, this one will get smacked on the face and come down to the bottom side of the range, 1100 or 1200. I don't feel too confident on this chart, but weekly RSI does tell me that the rally long term is not over. And let's see what weekly TSI says. Weekly TSI says, yeah, short term, medium term, over the next few weeks, probably trading sideways within this range, and the range again would be between about here and here. And so I don't think that there's anything like too exciting happening on this one for a while. But if you're holding this one for 4 years, then you're probably not too concerned about that. All right, let's see. Michael Ewan says, can you look at Hex chart? No. Oh man, I'm already getting trolled. Steve Bradley says, hey Krown, can you check out I mean, to be fair, for the Hex guys, like a lot of the guys from their community actually did reach out to me, and they were very reasonable, very respectful, and very nice people, and honestly, they represent the community incredibly well. Like Toby is just a fucking stand-up guy. I absolutely love him. I have nothing bad to say about him. So I want to make a concerted effort to like obviously separate the people who are just like maybe a little bit too aggressive for whatever fucked up reason, from the people who are like they seem to me to be legitimate. Steve Bradley says, hey Krown, can you check out AMP Gemini? Sure. All right, this one was on the winners list I believe today, so I suspect we are going to see something rather interesting here on Gemini. Yeah, very good, very fucking good. Very fucking good. This one is currently the best cryptocurrency chart. We see increasing volume on the break of long-term structure. I mean, long-term going all the way back to this. It's got about a year here. Everything does suggest that we still are within trending motion right now. I do think that we're getting pretty damn close. I'd keep an eye on BBWP right here. Once it starts to get to 100 percentile, I would start to look for local highs. Doesn't mean that the rally's over for forever, but I would be looking for local highs, consolidation, and then potentially continuation over over a longer period of time. But for right now, it looks like it's got at least another leg up, and then I'd be on BBWP watch. It's getting pretty damn close there, and we can make a bit of a range on the 4 hour here. I would feel comfortable saying that this one very likely does reach for new highs, and I would treat it as continue trending at this moment, as long as it remains above this last sort of 4 hour pivot, which is about 10 cents or so. I actually do quite like this chart. It is certainly the most impressive chart. I mean, hidden bullish divergence of that last low, 2 new all-time highs in price discovery. Very respectable. Very, very respectable. Now, my fear is that I'll look at it on some other exchange, and perhaps it's maybe not the same. Maybe Bittrex has more history. It does, and actually, it's even better now that I have even more history, about 2-3 years here. Yeah, about 2 years, it looks like. Pretty damn good. Yeah, very, very good, man. So I do think it's got very likely another move. I would be cognizant, though, that when this starts to, redline at 100 percentile, it's probably not going to stay there for too long before putting in a local high. Okay, Go Lucky says, hi, bruv, can you check out Asia daily and weekly on the ASX? Okay, the Asia on Australia. All right, okay, let's see, what is this? Sloppy chart right here. A little bit of a sloppy chart, to be fair. Let's see what the long term looks like. And what time frame did you ask about specifically? Daily and weekly. Okay, cool. We're already there. Yeah, it probably does push through here, to be fair. I mean, weekly TSI is a bullish reset. Weekly RSI is, neutral bullish reset as well. I'd be looking at the, 31st of May pivot, on a wick higher than there to drive another extension short term back up to about $12 or so. Let's see what the daily looks like. Daily is a little more sloppy and kind of difficult for myself. So I would say that we have a bit of a short-term base right around about 11 and a quarter. See what the very short-term timeframes look like. Yeah, it's looking more up than down here. Bless you, sir. 4 hour TSI, I'm flipping around in the bullish buy zone, not a huge issue. 4 hour RSI, giving some hidden bullish divergence on that last low. Some phantom div right there. I'd probably be looking for short term pop back up to 1160, and I do favor a general upside move over here, but I would use, technically speaking, the 2nd of June high for that continuation. And first target would be about $12, and then I'd look for it to trade sideways within the greater range for a while. I don't think this one's like ready to trend for a long time here. Yeah, monthly says actually, Yeah, monthly does say that this one at the very best is consolidating right now. So I'd just give it I'd give it a chance to go more or less sideways for a while. All right, cool. Tyrion Lannister is here. Sweet. Can you please have a look at silver bi-monthly? Okay, symbol XAG. Okay, bi-monthly. I imagine a lot. Well, for like the last couple months, this one's actually been looking decent here. So let's see what the bi-monthly looks like. Bi-monthly specifically just looks like a bit of a flag formation after the long-term breakout above the 23 and a third pivot. It looks like. I do like this chart. I'm not like a humongous fan of these precious metals and shit like that, but you know, a good chart is a good chart. In this case, both the bi-monthly and the quarterly are showing some decent strength. I want to see the quarterly specifically close above about 26.5 bucks, which it currently is about a half buck above. If that happens, which they're both closing at the end of this month, and by the way, that's not just the quarterly, but it'll also be the 6 month as well. You know, I'd essentially be looking for long-term continuation over the next like half year to a year, somewhere around about low 30s, like 33 to 34 bucks. But that is a very long-term thing. So let's see. And it sounds like you are long-term, talking about a bi-monthly there. Looking at the weekly, I mean, just a nice little ascending triangle at a high level here too. Reaccumulation is the general disposition here. I do think you could get another short-term move back down to about like 26 bucks or so, and put another higher low in here. But ultimately, I really like this one. As far as charts go, I don't really care for it as like a commodity. As long as it remains above about 25 bucks, we'll say. I don't really see anything that's like too concerning about it. Alrighty, cool. BK says, "Hey Krown, can you look at Matic USD for our daily weekly?" Yeah, I definitely do want to see. I definitely do want to make a concerted effort to look at more altcoins today, mostly because it's such a bifurcated market here with Bitcoin, you know, suggesting one thing and most altcoins not. In fact, most altcoins looking like absolute dog shit. So yesterday we did kind of fade the rally a little bit. Not good in that case, but do we have potential trap activity going on right here? Is there anything reminiscent of that? No, more things are pointing down than up in this case. Let's see what the weekly looks like as well. Okay, we start off with this one, more or less ranging. That's not a humongous point to be concerned with. Five days doing what? Sideways. That was in a range. I'm inclined to say this one's still ranging here. I mean, it quite literally is still ranging, but I'm not getting much from this, to be honest with you right now. A little bit more of a difficult chart than it probably needs to be. All right, let's go down to the short-term timeframes on this one, and let me just double check what you want to look at. Okay, 4 hour. Perhaps the short-term timeframes can give us a little bit more of a of a bias here. Anyways, I would say, you can use the 200 right now. It's a bit of a short-term basing point. Again, it's going to depend on more or less whatever Bitcoin does, right? If Bitcoin goes to the upside, let's say back to, if it completes this next bear trap and goes back up to like 40,000 bucks or so, I'd be expecting this one to pop back up towards about 169, 170-ish region. And then above, I mean, it's going to look very, very likely that it wants to push through there and work its way back up to about $2 or so. And I do think that that's a little bit more likely here, but I am concerned with the sloppiness of this price action here. So I would also simultaneously say that is kind of the line in the sand for me, meaning that if you do get any sort of a 4 hour total closure below the 200 exponential average right now, which is also your 4 hour structure as well, at about 146.9, we'll call it, I would be looking for, well, a return back down around the range lows at the very least, 136.5, maybe even all the way down to about 127. I think it's a little bit less likely, to be honest with you, but take that as you will. I do want to go back and check out what was the time frame that I liked on this one. Probably the higher term time frames. Yeah, bi-weekly with 3 days left to go. I'm not bearish on this. Higher term time frames seem a lot more conclusive to me, so I am more inclined to favor the upside resolution of this. But based off the 4 hour, if that level is taken out, do have to be looking a little bit lower, at least for that time frame. I don't see anything too concerning about a monthly. Obviously, bi-monthly is not going to be bad as well, and then quarterly is going to be, well, more or less the same here too. So all of these say, look, don't be extremely bearish just yet. I mean, there's not really even major bearish things to speak about on this one, as long as you're above about 125, that last higher low on the daily. Now below there you have an official reversal, and you can start to look at moves much further south, down below about $1, but there's a long ways to go on that one, and I figure you give it the benefit of the doubt, mostly based off of the higher term timeframes in this case, or at least that's the way I'd be looking at it right here. What's up, Thomas K? KSM BUSD on Bitcoin 4 hour daily, bought at 4:30 a.m. Am I doomed? That's a you could just say your price. So you bought at 4:30 a.m. We can just look at KSM USD. Well, I don't know what time zone you're in, sir. So I literally have no fucking way to even figure that out. Maybe you're in America. Maybe you're in Asia. Maybe you're in Europe, like me. Maybe you're in any various portions of those countries that completely change the time zone as well. I don't know. I have no idea to know, but I'm going to suspect that you probably got in somewhere around here. Or this is a daily, so it's probably somewhere around here. Who the fuck knows though? This one looks a lot more obviously downside angle. Again, when I look at the altcoins, I'm not fucking bullish. Like if I'm just looking at the altcoins, man, this one wants to come down. This one very obviously wants to come down. 325. Are you doomed? Well, seeing as I have no fucking idea where you actually bought. Are we putting in a Quasimodo formation right there? Maybe. 4 hours sloppy. You know, look, again, at the end of the day, it's going to be Bitcoin that kind of decides direction here. But this one and many alts, especially the alts that were acting very, very well in the last, in this last rally, are not looking good right here. And that's not the best sign. Like, I'd want them to at least be looking sluggish, but still on the same side as Bitcoin. And we actually don't see that right here. So that is rather concerning. That would be another point in the bear's court, to put it quite bluntly. And realistically, man, this thing can come down significantly. If this one wants to break, if Bitcoin breaks down, this one's going to come back down to $300, maybe even more. Let's see what the monthly looks like. Let's see what the monthly looks like here. Monthly is not as concerning, I would say. Let's see what the bi-monthly looks like as well. Probably not going to be too useful. Bi-monthly is a little bit more concerning, but we really don't have enough history of this to make much of it. What about bi-weekly? Bi-weekly's fine. Bi-weekly says this is your short-term pivot, favorite, and I definitely don't feel like that on the short-term timeframes, but I suppose you could just come up with a short-term timeframe range right here, right around about 355 on a 4-hour closure. Below there, have to be looking towards low 300s, like 310 to 300 even. But I suppose if Bitcoin confirms a bit of a bear trap, then I would be looking for this one to pop back up, very likely back above about 395 region, and then you'll play back up towards your prior range highs, which is like 450 or so, for between there and about 440. So again, more or less up to Bitcoin, but if I was just looking at this thing, I would be intensely bearish actually. But again, Bitcoin does kind of decide on direction, so take that as you will, and I do think that Bitcoin very likely does have a chance here. Okay, cool. Sam, hey, what's up, Sam? Sam Fam, LE1, Daily Pleaser, okay. LE1, what is this? Live cattle futures. All right, so you're actually like buying legitimate beef. Anyways, you say bought 55 kilos of porterhouse steak from my butchers based on this hot tip. Where can I sell and how long till they go off? Where can you sell? You can sell to like other butchers. I mean, these are probably real futures, where you get like actually sent and delivered the underline. So be aware of that, man, my friend. Oh my God, man. There was one guy who I traded alongside in Chicago, and he was trading futures, and like he didn't really know anything about futures, and neither did I. I mean, we never really traded commodities, let alone futures on commodities. And I think he bought like a shit ton of cheese or eggs or something, and he let the futures contract expire because like we thought it was just going to be like equities, and you just get like delivered the stock or something. Nope, you actually get delivered fucking cheese, and he had like, I don't know, 10,000 pounds of cheese or something. It's like, what the fuck? What am I going to do with this, man? Kind of funny. It's either that or eggs. I forget what exactly it was. Anyways, what exactly is your question? Where can I sell them and how long till they go off? How long do they go bad? Well, if you freeze them, man, they'll last quite some time. You can send them to me, man. I love meat, and that is not a homosexual reference. I quite literally love meat. And look, that's not a non-homosexual reference either. It's fucking great. Red meat is love. Red meat is life. Anyways, this one's actually insanely bullish, man. This to me looks like it's actually ready to finally buck the long-term trend. The reason why I say that here, the reason why I think this time actually is different, as it does once again come up around the top side of the long-term time frame range. I mean, this is a weekly, by the way, is that we do have an inevitable weekly golden cross going on here on, yet again, another trend reversal, obviously, but at the very least, I'd be looking for, over the next few weeks, this one to pop back up to 127.5. I do think it will ultimately test around the top side of this resistance. And, if this is going to be the time, let's see what the monthly suggests here. If this one actually has the oomph I think it does, man. Monthly RSI tells the story. Monthly TSI just freshly crossing above the bullish buy zone. I really like this chart. I think at the very least it's going to end up testing around the top side of this range over the next couple months or 2-3 months, whatever it ends up being. And then this actually does look like it has the potential to break that, and realistically long term, I mean, I'd be looking at 150. Holy shit, man. So my beefs are going to get more and more expensive. Oh well, it's worth it, man. It's worth it. And actually, major shout out to the Finns out there who have educated me, especially decentralized. I have always wondered, why does meat here in Finland taste so different than America? And it's actually because Finland has real health standards with the way that they raise their cattle. You know, like they treat them like actual sentient beings, I guess. You know, they give them like a real diet. They give them free range. It's nice. Whereas in America, I think we just have factory farming, which probably destroys a lot of the meat and probably makes it a lot less healthy too. So I actually do notice that. And that's actually one of the things that I really love about living here. Anyways, I'm on all kinds of tangents today. If Chris says, can you look at XFIN XDC on the longer chart? Should go back to 2018 on the daily and 4 hour. You could like just give me the name of the exchange as well, if that would make things infinitely easier instead of me guessing. Okay, so you're looking at this. Well, all I can find is Bitfinex and KuCoin. You're talking about all the way to 2018. Yep, this one goes to 2018. You can just say Bitfinex next time. It's right there, man. Anyways, what are you asking exactly? Okay, on the longer chart, should go back to. Okay, so can you look at on the longer chart? But I want to look at a 4 hour and daily. Okay, I'm not sure why we need to go this one then, but I do prefer the longer charts anyways. I like the weekly here. I know you didn't ask about it, but I would be looking at a weekly to pop back up to 7 cents or so. Daily, same thing. Daily is actually good. This would be an example of one of the better altcoins. This one is turning the corner right here. This one makes me kind of lean into the idea that Bitcoin is putting in a bit of a bear trap short term. I do think that this one is going to actually have a chance I mean, everything here is looking good, to be honest with you. Daily BBWP is an expansive territory. It does suggest that we are going to see an actual move outside of the range in this case, or at least this would be a good potential for that. Daily RSI is neutral bullish, and actually reaching back up through the neutral zone. So to me, that is essentially a bullish reset within the context of this being a short-term range. Daily TSI is turning up as well. I like it. I think that this one's probably going to bust through here and probably reach its way up towards, let's call it 7.25 cents or so. This one actually looks pretty damn good. I know you didn't ask about it the weekly, but that's basically my weekly level as well. So I do think back up there, hidden bullish divergence on the weekly here too. Decent. I mean, this one could even continue on longer, but I'm a little bit hesitant to say that. You know, again, whichever way Bitcoin goes, I imagine this one will be dragged by it, but let's see what Bitcoin can do here. Can Bitcoin put in a bit of a trappy trap or not? Okay, sweet. What's up, James Ladden? Welcome to the cave, sir. Brizzy B says, can you take a look at past iterations of the 50-200 MA daily cross happening in a few days? I mean, I can do that, man, but I can already tell you that this is something that I would not play myself. I do not like simple moon average death crosses or golden crosses. I do not like them at all, and I think that this is more or less a waste of your and my time, to be honest with you, but we can do it. We can definitely do it at your request, but we'll do the blue 50 and the white 200, and these are specifically 200 moving averages, by the way. Anyways, hey, this is going to give a golden cross if anything, but we are on a 4 hour. There we go. All right, daily. Yeah, daily is going to very likely give a death cross right here. Let's actually see. We can forecast what price action would be needed for this cross. Let's just go over here. We're going to go with, okay, what is it? 2 and 3. MA2, MA3. There we go. See what that says. Sir, show me. Oh, it's actually impossible right now. Wait, 50 crossing to the down. Yeah, 50 crossing. Okay, it's actually impossible for today. I mean, we'd need to probably come down below like $30,000 today or something, or maybe even just lower than that. But obviously, you know, with the passing days, this will naturally come closer and closer, and then we actually will be able to forecast this. But for right now, it actually seems to be impossible, which is rather bizarre. I wasn't expecting that actually. Anyways, so you are asking about the long-term history of this. Well, we can definitely do that. So we'll go to Bitstamp here, and we can just go over a few examples. Well, the last time that we had something like this was in coronavirus dump time. This is going to be a terrible sort of moving average cross to be playing in an event like that. Not only that, this one is anything but a good signal. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're so fucking far away from the cross here. It's just noise is what it is. This one over here, cross the upside, did not get played all that much. This is, again, why I do not like these crosses. This one over here, a bit of a bull trap and down, kind of similar to the situation that I'm thinking, generally speaking. This one over here, again, terrible timer, but the 200 does become a governing factor of the next sort of full downside move. I mean, that is just a 200 in general, so we don't even need a 50 to kind of announce besides that one. Same thing over here, terrible one, absolutely terrible one. This one over here, not so great as well. This one over here, decent, I guess. No, sorry, this would be a golden cross and then death cross right here. Golden cross, terrible. Death cross, decent actually in this case. So we have one to two iterations that were actually okay. This one over here, terrible as well. So again, this is why I do not like simple moving averages. I do not care about cross on simple moving averages, and these are very, very few of these are even like a good example, anyways, of what a good cross should look like. So what does that align with what we're looking at over here? Is there anything different, or should we expect anything different? Well, in this case, this actually would be kind of what you're looking for as far as price action goes. And this would actually play into the theory that if Bitcoin does confirm not just a local high here, but a break of the short-term time frame range, we probably will at the very least test the bottom side of the low 30s once again, at the very least. At that point, would you be looking for a breakdown? Perhaps yes. But look, man, in my experience, it's the exponentials that you want to be looking at. And you're looking at something very, very specific too. And I don't think that that's what we're seeing right here, to be honest with you. Or at least I would not say that today. I would want to see at least another couple days transpire, and then perhaps I could get on that same side. But for myself, I do not look at those as like relevant or that playable. And what you can also say, actually, well, in this case, I was going to say that you could obviously increase your hit rate with a quick little simple trick by just looking at the signals that are on the same side as a daily trend. But in this case, I mean, daily trend, we do have a bit of a reversal going on here, so that would also be another counterpoint to saying that this one, even if it does play out, it's probably going to be a very muted result anyways. Maybe another move back down to like low 30, like 33, 34 region, but I wouldn't put too much faith in it other than that, man. So I'm happy to like look at things and talk things through, but I do want to be very, deliberately clear that I don't think that that's like a good signal to be playing right now. If it does end up being a good signal, it's probably going to be verified by an actual break-in structure rather than that as a signal in general. Crypto Angel says, can you check out T-Fuel Binance Daily Weekly? And again, this is coming from someone who like actually is a pretty big moving average trader. I pretty much use that for the bulk of my career, in fact, as like my main source of edge. Anyways, you asked about T-Fuel on Binance. Yeah. Okay, T-Fuel, I guess we'll do it versus Tether. We're going to be the more liquid pair, and you want to see daily, weekly. Pretty good here. Yeah, another chart of like a decent altcoin, actually. Going back through the history of time, very, 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 very impressive chart. Among the best charts that we have seen today thus far. What was the other one that we saw that was really good? Was it XDC? I think it was. Yeah, that one was pretty damn good. This one obviously consolidated a little bit after that first breakout from this little structure right here. I already have it in there. I guess not that right there, but this level right here, also basing off that. I'd be looking for this one to just kind of stair step its way up. I am looking at this as a reaccumulation after a general breakout of the range. Something like this, what I'd be looking for right here. And then long term, I'd be looking for it to pop up somewhere around 72.5 to maybe even 80 plus cent. With a confirmed breakout above the current high side closing basis of this, about 58 and a quarter. So, sorry, is it 58 and a quarter? No, it's about 58 even, actually, a little bit below there, in fact. Momentum oscillators are more or less fine. I don't see any major issues with this. So again, though, I do kind of struggle a bit. If Bitcoin does break down, does this one go down with it? Generally speaking, the answer is going to be yes. However, this one actually has been consistently doing a little bit of different things here, so perhaps it is on its own. 4 hour is a lot more obviously bullish short term. I would be looking for a short term move up to about 50, that 58 cent barrier. And above there, again, I'd extend targets significantly, in fact. So 4 hour TSI turning up, 4 hour RSI looking good, BBWP suggesting that we are looking at a move relatively soon here. So actually another very interesting altcoin right there. All right, cool. Let me, okay, and now I can get onto some of the other comments here as we got through all of the chatties. Oh, there he is, Mr. Solverine. Ein NEL on Euronext. Oh, here we go again. Here we fucking go. All right, NEL on, oh, Euronext also, okay. Hoping to get it at 12.8. To get your opinion, sir. Weekly, monthly. Hey, man, you too, man, you too. Actually, I got a bank count yesterday, so I could perhaps even get a house at some point. I'm actually going to do some house viewing today. Okay, so you are saying weekly and monthly. You're hoping to get a 12.8. 12.8 down around here, so right around the 200. So is the question, do I think you'll get it there, or do you want it there? I mean, this one looks like a monthly head and shoulders probably in the making. I am not a humongous fan of this one on the monthly, and I do think that next move is probably to the upside, back up around like 23. I'm looking at a daily, yeah, and I'd be looking for any sort of weakness around 22 to 23 bucks. Look, I see what you're looking at here, man. I would just be asking myself the question, what I really wanted. I do think you got a nice bounce there, though. 12.8, 12.9. I'd say more like 12.9, actually. 12.9 to 13 even is where I'd be looking towards. And I think that you'd have a nice bounce there. But short term, I think that this one actually bounced from where it right now. This one's looking, yeah, it's actually looking somewhat similar to Bitcoin in a way. You know, it's got this nice little consolidation range right here. This one looking a little bit more healthy than Bitcoin, to be fair. But something like this, what you got going on, you already know this. And basically above yesterday's high, yeah, I'll be looking for continuation back up here. So 22 to 23 probably first. And then do we put in something resembling, well, I'd give it a chance at least first, man. I'm concerned about the monthly, though. I do not like the monthly here. See what the quarterly looks like, as we will be closing that one at the end of this month too. Yeah, it's very likely to bounce first, and then maybe you get your targets coming into the next quarter, so like July, August, September region. And I do think that you have a nice bounce there. So, you know, if you're trying to position around there for for a nice little scalpy, yeah, I think that you do have one. But if you're looking for it to come down there like today, like this second, probably not my first call on that one, unless if you do take out the low side of this range, which is 1637.5. So would be pretty easy to define that. I just think it's a little bit less likely to happen. Daily has plenty of signals pointing up to the upside from where we're at right now. Daily Jewel is a buy. Daily RSI is regular drives of bullish divergence right there. Daily TSI is turning up. BBWP very low. This one very likely is next move to the upside. And then maybe get your target over time. Best coin to buy now? Oh man, that's a fucking great question. Holy shit. Does anyone want to tell him? Jesus Christ, man. Good luck, sir. Good luck in life, my friend. Hey, Brother Krown, can you take a look at Cardano USD Binance on whatever time frame seems most telling? Okay. That's pretty open-ended, but definitely, man. I'm curious to see what, again, another one of these more strong ones is looking like. And yeah, it looks like Ethereum looks a little bit short-term weak. I don't like these charts for altcoins. If I was just looking at altcoins, I'd generally be bearish. It's Bitcoin that makes me think that we could have another bear trap in here, and I think there are a lot of signals of that. Okay, Binance on whatever time frame seems most telling. It seems it made a new lower high instead of testing up. Yeah. Technically speaking, I mean, you already know this, man. I'd be looking for a base right around about 144, a little bit below 144, actually 143.5. Weekly is not necessarily bearish. I mean, there's not really anything bearish about this as long as you're above about 130 or so, just last week's low. Below there, I'd start to get a little bit more concerned, and I'd start to look for a move down to like 107. But here's the thing, man. Again, higher term time frames tell the story, and quarterly is okay. I mean, we'd be closing on new all-time highs, obviously. Monthly is just a backfill, and I treat this one as a short-term consolidation and still long-term, I suppose, bullish. But we don't have a whole hell of a lot of history here either. I just like that structure right there for what it's worth right now. Here's the thing, man. Let's say Bitcoin does put in a bear trap and heads back up to 40,000 bucks. Your Cardano will be very interesting. Assuming that happens with a move anywhere above about 158, 160, if you want to make it easy. And I'd be looking for a return back up to the tops of the range, like 178, 180-ish region, and then very likely, continuation on to $2 plus over time. Let's see what the very low term timeframes look like. Yeah, 4 hour is ugly. I mean, just it's a fucking downtrend is what it is. I mean, we just got lower lows and lower highs. It's kind of hard to love. So it's really up to Bitcoin in my opinion here. And this one's showing the same sort of potential for a nice move. I mean, when you see BBWP on the 4 hour come into single digits or even 0 percentile, like you're looking at something that actually has some power to break, probably even the range in this case. So I do think that we're pretty fucking close there. I do think that we're very, very close there. Let's see what the 12 hour says. Yeah, 12 hour. Maybe you get a trap right here. This would not be the most obvious one. This is honestly like way more difficult than looking at Bitcoin, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think it's easy to watch Bitcoin here, but this one's obviously operating on a weaker basis, as are most altcoins. So I know that's not too helpful, but if I was just looking at this, I would be bearish, and I would be looking at a move back down towards like 143.5. I'm looking at Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin confirms that bear trap above 39.2 to 39.3 region, I'd be looking for this one to pop back up and generally speaking, float its way back up to the top side of the range here, over the next couple weeks. So take that as you will. I'd watch Bitcoin in this case and then make a corollary between them. Rami says, hey Krown, hidden 4-hour bullish div on Ethereum USD. Can we give that any merit given the current market conditions? Let's see. Ethereum is the one that kind of looks most droopy to me in general as far as the majors go, which is not usually a good sign, actually. But let's see. You're talking about 4-hour regular hidden bullish divergence. Technically speaking, yeah, that is a decent one. And my general target for that would be about 24.75 region. But that doesn't do anything for trend, right? Like that's not a reversal. Technically speaking, I guess this would be maybe a higher low. It technically would be a higher low right here compared to the last sort of low side structure. But again, just easier to watch Bitcoin in this case. I guess this would be a little bit more in the, another court in potential bear trap here. But Bitcoin's going to be the one that confirms this, not Ethereum, in my opinion. If anything, Ethereum is heavily bearish here. I mean, Ethereum looks like actual shit. Like when I saw this one yesterday when I came home, like that's the reason why I made that short video. It's like, what the fuck? How the hell did I miss this? I mean, this one's just putting in lower high after lower high. I'm not a fan of this chart, man. But everyone knows that if Bitcoin does go up, Ethereum will go up with it. This one is not leading right now. This one is dragging. If anything, it's kind of dragging down. And I mean, if Bitcoin breaks down, man, do not be surprised to see Ethereum somewhere down around $2,000 again, 21 to $2,000. So yeah, weekly's not as bad. Monthly is still not really giving us all that much. I mean, if anything, the monthly, I think, does keep the long-term Bulaw's hopes alive. Again, keeping in mind that Ethereum does have their major event, I think, next month in July for EIP 1559, which actually is kind of a big deal, at least from what I understand. And in this case right here, if I'm looking at the weekly Trollinger bands, monthly Trollinger bands, which got another almost 2 weeks ago, if we do close above the top side, which is 2620, then I would be looking at this as still in trending motion. I would be looking at this as likely to retest prior time highs and make new all-time highs, maybe not like exactly in July, but very likely into the end of this year. So that's really what I'd be focusing on here. But if I'm just looking at daily and below, I would not like this chart on its own at all. Very unlikely. Very unlikely. Let's actually do the daily perusal of BBWP on Bitcoin. Okay, this is also not what I would have really wanted to have seen with BBWP expanding here. I mean, technically speaking, the problem with this is that right now, yes, that would be good. The second that we start to break structure here, that's going to be very fucking bad. That's going to be very fucking bad. And guess what? Daily Jewel is right at that fib, which we did say was a good pullback level as well. I'm getting a lot of conflicting signals going around here. So in these cases, I go off of structure first and foremost. Again, 39,250 is the magical number right there. You could just say 39.2, I suppose. In this case, anywhere above there, preferably on a 2 to 4 hour delta closure. I think maybe you could make an excuse for an hourly here. It kind of makes sense, I suppose. Then I would call this a bear trap, and I'd be looking for Bitcoin $40,000 or $41,000 plus, and then probably new highs on this run coming into like the next week of price action. But this is. Well, yeah. Again, we still have plenty of signals here, so I do think that bulls have a bit of a chance here. Hey, what's up, Nimbo? Cuban was doing the rugging. Yeah, man, I heard about this Titan or something that went literally to zero, literally to fucking zero. That is insane. Very rarely do you see things actually go to zero. It's pretty damn rare. A lot of the time they just become insignificant and irrelevant, which is even worse, honestly. But going to zero, man, that's something that you don't get to see all that often. All right, let's see. Super Googly says, what does he say? Hold on, I just missed it right here. Wait. There it is. Hello, sir. How you doing? I'm doing all right, man. I've actually had four good days of sleep. Like, this is amazing. This is fucking incredible. Anyways, can we have a look at Cardano BTC daily time frame on this fine day? Absolutely, yes. It'd actually be a lot more interesting and compelling to look at it versus Bitcoin here. We already looked at it versus US dollar. And what is it looking like? It is looking like a little bit of a short-term low, yes. And in fact, that probably means that Ethereum Bitcoin is doing the same thing. And that probably means I'd be looking for a bounce back up to about 4150. About 4150 Satoshis shortish term. Daily TSI is a bit of a bullish reset here. Daily RSI, same thing. I'd actually at least favor a little bit of a short-term move to the upside there. 4 hour. You know, you got a very obvious range right here. It's had plenty of times to break, plenty of chances to break down. Yes, you are operating on lower highs right now, but I do like this move above the 4-hour 21. 4-hour Jewel is giving a buy signal right here too. 4-hour TSI turning up for our RSI, multiple, or well, some phantom div right there. I suspect that this one does test up around about 4,100 Satoshis, give or take 50, before this is all said and done. You do have a death cross coming in here, but this would be an example of one that would be highly, highly contested. And if you see this next signal I'm going to talk about, which I think is actually quite possible here, which is any sort of a closure above the 200 here, which is 40.50 actually, which is actually even a little bit lower than my current daily target. This is going to very likely run in the other direction, or well, in the other direction, meaning to the upside in this case. And I'd start to extend targets into the mid 40s, or sorry, 4,000s, that is 44 to 4,500. This will look very, very good. And again, I do think that there are several signals that say that this one's, you know, at least going to give a chance, similar to Bitcoin, right? You got the 4-hour Jewel right here, you do got 4-hour RSI, you do got 4-hour TSI, and this structure right here looks more trappy to me. Like if we were to see this break down, I'd expect to see like a lower high right here and just kind of continue with the descending triangle, but we actually don't really have that. So I'd give this one the benefit of the doubt, but any sort of a 4-hour above 40, 50, I'd really start to extend that run, and this is going to look very, very good, at least short and medium term. 12-hour, same thing. Daily, same thing. Yeah. So fair enough. All right, cool. Manny Omega says, please help. I created a token and want to add liquidity. I have 1 BNB, but I don't know how much 1 BNB should be for my coin. Okay, so you created your own shitcoin and you have 1 BNB, but I don't know how much 1 BNB should be for my coin. What? I don't know if I'm being trolled or if this is like literally the dilemma of a shitcoiner. And I say that as a term of endearment, sir, not to down talk you. But okay, so from what I understand, you created a shitcoin. That's cool. That's enlightening. So you created a shitcoin and you literally don't even know what the fuck to do with it. That's the state of this market right now, baby. I don't know how much. Wait, did I turn back on the alerts? I did. Okay, cool. I have 1 BNB, but I don't know how much 1 BNB should be for my coin. I don't know. Well, it sounds like you created it, so you get to decide. Hey, man, you get to decide. Just price that shit at $100 million. You're going to be rich. The problem is you just need to find a buyer. That might be difficult, sir. I hope that helps, but unfortunately, I don't think I have any. I don't have any experience in that realm, man. I've never even owned a BNB, sir. Take that as you will, man. I don't know what to tell you. Unfortunately, I am unhelpful in this regard. Oh, do we have Elsa coins? We have Mermaid token that fucking NEM blockchain guy made years ago. Cammy's Cars Creation says, hi Krown, Rune 4-hour and daily on Binance. Okay, just starting the trading program and loving it. Sweet, man. Great to hear. Okay, so Rune. This is Thorchain. It has a great name, man. I'm a fan of Viking mythology and Nordic mythology. Okay, so you're looking at 4-hour daily, and what are you looking for? Okay, this one's actually rather interesting here too. Yeah, you know, it isn't a downtrend on the 4-hour, but this is actually nice and structured, and we do have regular bullish evidence come out that last low, and 4-hour TSI turning up here too, it looks like. Yep, it is. I think this one pushes through, man. I like it. At least short term, probably 11.5. You're looking at probably daily as well, or this. Oh, that was daily. Okay, daily. Yeah, daily regular bullish divergence. Okay, 4-hour structure is what I'd be going off of here. Any sort of a 4-hour dildo closure below. We could maybe be a little more lenient on this one. Right below about 8.75, 8.75, and I would be looking for this one to return back down to the lows. But as long as that condition is not met, I do give this one the benefit of the doubt, and I do favor the daily, and I would be looking, yeah, about 11.5 to the upside. That would still just be another lower high, it looks like, but at least it'd be a little bit of short-term goodness, I suppose. Somewhere right around there, between about 11.80 and 11.50, or 11 even, somewhere around there is what we'd be looking towards. Let's go back to the daily for a second. This one's a little more difficult. I mean, it's hard to get like super bullish on a daily as long as it's below about 13.25, but short-term, it's got some potential there. Do we have potentially hidden bearish divergence in progress though? No, we do not. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, fair enough. I'd give it the benefit of the doubt. See what the 12-hour says. Yeah, I'd give it the benefit of the doubt, man, but mediated by the 4-hour structure right here. Anywhere below there, problems. But as long as you're above there, again, I kind of put it in the same court as like Bitcoin. It's like you're showing a lot of signals. However, I want to see confirmation of trap initiated before that becomes like a legitimate trading possibility. It's getting there though. getting there. I wouldn't mind another test back down to like low 38 though in the interim. Bitcoin Delphine, what's up? Hey Krown, love you. Have a sip of water. I've actually forgotten my water today, but it's okay. I don't need it. Fuck that water. Well, you actually need to clean my blue water bottle because I accidentally threw it in the urinal when I was at the gym the other day. I've been having a really bad luck with bathrooms recently. I did that 2 days ago, and then the day before that, I dropped my cell phone into the toilet after I did not do anything nice to my toilet, and and I still use it. Legend LEZ says, is silver daily, weekly, monthly about to stink as much as your ass when you forget to let the water run down your ass cracks in the showers? Well, actually, we have the bidets here, so we don't have to we don't have that issue. But I do know what you're talking about, and let's just see. We looked at silver like spot earlier, and it was actually decent. I do think that you probably get another test down to the bottom side of this, of this long side support somewhere around like daily pedo. It's pedo coin. Jesus Christ, man. I wouldn't mind another test back down to the, to like the higher low structure somewhere down around about 24 and a quarter or so. Long term, I like it though. I don't have anything like bearish thing. I don't have anything bearish to say about this on the weekly, monthly, quarterly. But another test down around here is certainly not out of the ordinary or anything out of the, anything that would even destroy structure. But where things do start to get absolutely wrecked is below about $23. That's where I'd be very, very concerned on this one. You look for another return to about 21 after that, and then probably this whole thing breaks down to 19 and a half after a short bounce. But for now, I think you give it the benefit of the doubt, man. It's going to take its time. I mean, these things move like goddamn boomer coins because they are boomer coins. And next move, yeah, sideways and down, but long-term upside resolution. Daily BBWP says we're looking at a move probably even this week, and daily RSI is down, sir. Nasty short-term. All right, the legend Z's. Everyone's got a Z's name now, man. It's beautiful. Jack, hey, what's up, Jack Assman? Good morning to you, sir. Euro, oh yes, euro dollar. Yes. Let's definitely talk about this because I love the forex and I am very much interested in this one, and this is perfect for me. Now I can afford a house. All right, weekly's breaking down quite obviously. I do think it has a little bit more downside to go, somewhere down around about 119, which is what I believe we said yesterday. We do see weekly TSI turning down. We do see weekly RSI getting rejected by the bullish control zone. So I do think it has some short-term downside, but I'm not fucking bearish on this one on the monthly, man. The monthly is a consolidation at a high level. I suspect it probably tries for a higher low somewhere around that 119 level. If we go to the bi-monthly, I think it's equally a little bit more into pressure here. I mean, that is a bit of a rejection for what it's worth right now. Still about a couple weeks ago, but this would be a good counterpoint to what I'm saying. If it does close below the 200 at the end of this month, which is actually 120, currently just ever so slightly below, then yes, I would probably be looking for this one to have a full and complete collapse down to like 116, 117-ish region. But let's see what the 3-month and the 6 month look like. 3-month is bullish. 3-month is very bullish actually, and bi-yearly is quite bullish as well. Bi-yearly TSI will turn up on the next tick with any sort of a closure above 118.5. And that wasn't even like my weekly target. This would be another higher low, and it would be a higher high above your current range high. Something like that. Oh, god damn it. Hey, cut that shit out. Here we go. Is what I'm looking for right here. Boom and boom. What do we have? We got a low, we got a high, we got a higher low. We've already closed on new highs. Would be continuation, momentum turning up as well. I'd be long-term bullish on this. So I do favor the upside resolution long-term. So I'm gonna need to switch those US dollar tokens into euro tokens right quick. A little bit of short-term downside basically. Long-term, I still like it. I still like it as a chart. I fucking hate that as a fact though. I'll tell you that, man. Like everything becomes so much more expensive here. Anyways. Mr. Phi, there he is. Sir, how do you deal with risk management while asleep? Oh, this is a good question. Actually, this is a really good question, man. Yet another trade which wicked to stop loss and played out as I slept. Entry 39,250, stop loss 39,550, target 38,400. Okay, so you entered 39,250. Your stop loss was 39,550, and your target was 38,400. So basically, you were right on your trade. And this is probably one of the most frustrating things that can happen in trading. It's like you're right in your trade idea, you're wrong in the execution, or you just don't make money on that, what would have been a correct trading idea. Given your entry, you pretty much traded this perfectly. I mean, you basically sold the retest of the breakdown. It's very good trading right there. Your target was actually met in the same dildo that also wicked you out, which is extremely fucking frustrating. Oh my God. But anyways, the question is, or it sounds like this happened all whilst you were sleeping. Okay, very interesting. Well, when you are sleeping, obviously you can't just go to sleep with no stop loss. That is ridiculous. That is potentially career ending, and that is just straight up gambling is what it is. So you have the right idea. You need to have a fucking stop loss when you sleep. Personally speaking, I do the same thing if I do have a position open to begin with. But preferably I just close my positions before I sleep anyways, because I like to manage my risk manually for basically the exact reason that you see right there. So when you can't do the primary best thing, the most optimal thing, what do? You do the next best thing, obviously. And that doesn't mean that you don't fucking manage your risk. It means that you have to have some sort of a static stop loss, is what I refer to them as, which is basically what you did, which is just have a stop loss around, a pivot on the market, and just hope and pray to God that the wick gods don't absolutely wreck you. In this case right here, you have to realize what you're up against. You're up against a bit of an event, and during these events like FOMC, you can expect that there's going to be a lot of wiki action. So if you do want to play the game, you have to be adherent to that, and you have to be accepting of that more volatile region. And that means that if you are going to play and you're going to be asleep and you want to have a stop loss, you have to really put that a lot deeper than what you probably would typically do. So this is situational here. If there wasn't an event yesterday, you would have been right on your trade. You probably and you wouldn't have gotten wicked out. At least that's what I would have been thinking. Anyways, so I just want to address that as far as that situation goes, because if you do that in the future and there's no event like FOMC, you're probably going to be okay. I mean, you had a pretty reasonable trade on. I mean, you had a stop loss 250 away. You were targeting a move like $800 in profit. It's a good setup, honestly. You did pretty much a good trade. Anyways. In the event that you are not dealing with a situation like that, what would I do? I would actually do the exact same thing that you did in that case. Now, again, I do not like trading during events like that, and I do not like holding positions overnight. So this is the inherent risk that you carry with that. So keep that in mind, and that is maybe something to consider in the future, because you might be a little bit more like me, and I am certainly a more conservative trader in temperament. So I would rather not deal with the uncertainty of an event like that, or especially holding a position to sleep, assuming that it's not meant to be like a long-term position, which it sounds like yours was not. It was more or less an hourly trade. And so, you kind of have to take that as you will. It's like you weigh up the pros and cons. I think more often than not, assuming that there's not an event like that, you're probably going to be fine trading like that, to be honest with you. And that is how I would have done it if I was forced into that situation. Personally speaking, I just don't take that situation to begin with, because I don't like the uncertainty with that. And going into an event like that as well, which I mentioned on yesterday's follow-up video, was this, is it bear trappy time? Is it time? I think it might be time. But going into an event like yesterday as well, personally speaking, I never would trade right before those events. Why do I say that? Because it's a wild card, and during those sorts of events, technical analysis is not going to be all that relevant. Oh, there we go. Isn't it lovely? Technical analysis is not going to be as efficacious during those events. Your edge, at least as what I've found as using technical analysis, no matter which, variation that you're using, is greatly diminished in those events. And yes, you can still play like high term time frame stuff. And when I say high term time frame, I don't mean anything under a goddamn daily at the very fucking least. Daily, weekly is where you want to be at. And yeah, you can catch some pretty juicy trades that way. You just get like a wick off to like daily or weekly levels. It's usually going to be a nice trade. But for the majority of them, man, I would just turn off my system. I'd go to maintenance and I'd just watch, or I'd go to like lunch, during those times. I did it every fucking time, except for the first or second time, because I learned my lesson that way. And my mentor basically said, okay, so now you're never going to do that again, right? I said, yes, you're exactly goddamn right. So hopefully that's helpful, man. But just be aware of the risks. Like at the end of the day, I actually think that you had a pretty damn good setup right there. It was very reasonable, and you had the right idea. And had you been at your computer, you would have probably been fine. So fair enough. But a really, really good question right there, and perhaps we'll cut that one up and upload it to the channel later. David Diaz says, "Can you look at OMG USDT Binance? Thanks, fam. I'm just a kid trying to make it out of the trenches." So the best way to make it out of the trenches is to buy shitcoins, baby. I'm going to the fucking moon off the back of OMC Go, which only goes down, baby. Sir, if you're a kid just trying to make it out of the trenches, you don't look. I understand that in a more sincere tone, man, and I don't know if you're trolling or not, but maybe you're not. And in the event that you're not, I totally understand that, you know, if you are somewhere where you just don't want to be, you're kind of looking for like the lottery ticket, essentially, you know, like the rocket off to the moon, because you heard about someone who got rich off of fucking Shiba derp coins, and now they can afford a mansion, but they're not going to sell anyway, so they're going to write it all back down to zero. You know, lovely shit like that. What I would suggest, man, is to get out of that mindset. Is this chart good over here? Absolutely fucking not. While all of the other altcoins were making, not all of them, but the strong ones from 2017 and 2018 were making new all-time highs, and significantly new all-time highs, this one couldn't even get back up to its prior breakdown levels from July 2018. I mean, that is pathetic. That is not a good signal. Now, do I think that this one's generally going to follow the market? Yes. Do I think that it bounces up from here? Yes. Do I think it's going to go higher from here? Yes. Is this the one that I want to be in if I, you know, even if I was playing the fucking lottery ticket game? Absolutely fucking not. Jesus Christ, man. This thing is also notorious for just being for just like a lot of animosity around it. I remember this one. I actually remember this one when it came out, because a lot of people were like stricken by this. It's like the next big thing, OMC Go. It's simple OMG, and it has absolutely nothing to it. But you know what? It's gonna make me rich. Well, all those people were unfortunately humbled by the market, and you know, look, man, it is gonna go up with the rest of the market, assuming that the rest of the market does go up. Problem is, this one's not going to be a main beneficiary of it, because what you want to be looking at is in a bull market, assuming that we are in a bull market, which that is a big question right now. but let's say we are in a bull market, just in general, because you are playing essentially lottery land right now. You want to be looking at things versus Bitcoin, and this is just a god awful shit of a chart. I mean, this chart, all jokes aside, like I don't even need to make a joke about this chart. This is a fucking pathetic chart. It is disgusting. This is vaporware bullshit. This is something that you wouldn't want to touch with like a 10-foot pole. And realistically, man, the amount of things that I'd rather do than trade something like this, like amount to doing laundry and swimming up the fucking Nile with only Rosie O'Donnell's queef as my as my air supply, with like 10-pound dumbbells strapped to my sack. Look, this is fucking awful, man. Very bad. Very fucking bad. And at some point, you know, assuming that this market does continue on with that, which I think it probably does, you know, this thing will get its chance to shine a little bit, but comparably to other things that have just not had the just pathetic history as this, it's not going to be as much, and you'll probably feel like you're missing out. You'll probably curse me as well when you do see this one move, but just understand that this one's going to be moving in a lot less of an impressive format than most other things. I mean, this is not the chart of anything that is good. This is not the chart of anything that deserves any respect at all. You shit on charts like this because they deserve to be shitted on, and I want to be very, very, harsh on this point, not to you, but to this as a chart, and to other people out there who play this sort of like shitcoin game. Just understand what you're getting into. Look, if you want to play the shitcoin game, you're better off playing one of the ones that are actually newer. If you really just want to like throw caution to the wind, throw the goddamn dart at the monkey board and just pick an altcoin that way, because they're not going to have all of these sellers from the last 3 years who are looking to get out at break even or slightly below break even. And in this one, there's just nothing at all whatsoever fucking ever to be excited about, as long as you're below about 52,000 satoshis. Now, that's a little bit deceiving, because this is log chart. This is what the real chart looks like. It's a piece of actual dog shit. The only way that you get a chart like this is when quite literally no one wants to buy and everyone wants to sell. Who wants to sell, or sorry, who has the amount to sell that can actually produce price action like this over a long enough period of time? The creators, the developers, the initial VCs, assuming that there was some, they all sold out. Those are presumably the people who'd probably believe in this project the most. And guess what they did? They sold and dumped on yo ass. And what do? You buy into it, because OMC Go has partnerships with McDonald's in Singapore or some shit. And Vitalik had an OMC Go sticker on his skateboard. You know what that means? He's an advisor, and that means it's going to be Ethereum, and that means it's going to go up, and that means there's probably no fucking development in the last 3 years on this piece of shit as well. Maybe, I don't know. I can't actually speak directly towards that, but goddamn, man. Very, very bad, and very, 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 very unimpressive chart. If you're going to play the shitcoin game, I think that there's many better actors than that one, all things considered. All right, cool. Thanks, fam. I'm just a kid trying to make it out of the trenches. Well, you know what the best way to make it out of the trenches is, in my experience, is, and I've actually been there myself too, man. Like, I've actually been fucking straight up, not just broke and poor, but like literally at $0 in debt for like 20 or 30,000 bucks and no real way to pay it back. It's not fun. Anyways, the best way to make it out is like cultivate a skill. It doesn't even have to be trading. I mean, you can cultivate a skill in any domain and then just monetize that skill. So I mean, that could be for myself, that was becoming a trader. For others, it could be like, I don't know, learning how to weave baskets and make art and shit like that. It could be anything, man. You don't need to play the fucking lottery to get rich. And in fact, usually that doesn't even work out too well for many people as well. Hey, what's up, Nate? Hello, Krown. Can you check out INFN daily and weekly? Would you look at this dip as an opportunity? Okay. INFN. Let's see what we got. Okay. Would I be looking at this dip as an opportunity? Okay, well, hourly looks okay. All right. So let's get the long-term view. Yeah, I really like this one long-term. So I do think that there is an opportunity in here. The question is, the real question is, at least, does this one give us a bigger opportunity downside first? Long term, I do like this. Long term, I do think that you have something very interesting here. This one's popping back up to multi-year ranges here, going back to 2017. I do see a golden cross on the weekly. I see a trend reversal on the weekly. Volumes ensure is a change of behavior. Weekly TSI turning up. Weekly RSI hidden bullish divergence, but it does look a little bit sloppy here, all things considered. So what do I? Bi-yearly is obviously looking for a breakout there too. I mean, this one is long-term good. Same thing with bi-monthly. Same thing with monthly. So the real question is like, how much of, how greedy should we get on a pullback? I mean, you can always nibble a little bit here. However, I do think it will come lower. I actually do think it will come lower. Your obvious portion is going to be somewhere around the 200s here, coming in above $9 and crawling. You got about 950 in the middle there too. And we do see that the daily is a little more downside, a little short term. So I'm inclined to say that this one probably does give you a little bit of a better opportunity, short term downside, maybe 9.5. Yeah, right around the weekly 21. If things really get crazy, like I said, just around $9. But I really like this one long term. So I don't, what do you do in a situation like this? Well, for me, I'm not a long term trader for this reason, because I mean, how would I trade this if you put a gun in my head? I guess just in case, maybe I take like a third of my position right here. Probably look for that not to work out all that well, but I'd postulate another third position at like 9.5, and then the rest at like $9, and then just play the structure there. And that way you'll have an average price of like 9.5. You get your risk on if you really want it. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but it is hard to ignore. The long term does want up, and anywhere above this like 12-15 region. I mean, this thing's going to go for a bit of a run. There's really not much stopping it from like the deeper teens at that point. So take that as you will. In that situation, I actually do struggle, and I don't like trading like that. I don't like trading breakouts, just in general. But that one is a strong contender for a beautiful breakout over time. KT says, hello, sir. What's up, man? View on Ethereum USD, 12-hour and weekly, please, and commentary on Ethereum options market. I don't have anything for Ethereum options market, so I can't speak on that. And I don't believe that the Ethereum options market is very liquid, so it probably wouldn't be too useful to begin with. But we can definitely look at the price action right here. Unless if you have a resource for it, I can look at it. But I would suspect that there's not much like actual interest in it. There's not many people trading it, more or less. I mean, Bitcoin's pretty low already. To have even less than that would be not so useful in my opinion. Okay, 12-hour and weekly. That's an interesting split there. Okay, so I want to start this one off by saying, look, it's Bitcoin that is very, 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 very likely going to set the direction here. And with that said, I do think that Bitcoin is probably going to put in a bit of a trappy here. If you put a gun in my head, I do think that will happen actually. Now, with that said, we're making an assumption here. Bitcoin does not. If Bitcoin gets rejected pretty much where it is right now, this one will come back down to lows. If I'm just looking at the 12-hour and daily, this one looks like absolute shit. There's no other way to cut it. It's mostly up to Bitcoin though. Look, if Bitcoin does a trap, this one will very likely go back up to probably up to like 2,700 or so. But if I'm just looking at 12-hour and just looking at weekly, I'm not a big fan of this chart, man. In fact, weekly, I mean, if the weekly starts to break below about 2,100, this thing will come down to like 14 or 15 over time. But it's up to Bitcoin right now to put the rest of the market in its backpack, in my opinion. And then from there, do we see everything get pulled back on up? I think so. At least in short term, it probably does pop back up to like 24.75. You're asking specifically about a 12-hour and a weekly for Ethereum. If I was just to give my opinion on that, it would have to be bearish, honestly. But the problem is that if Bitcoin does put in a bear trap here, which I think it is in the process of doing right now, or at least a strong likelihood, and confirmation would be somewhat soonish, assuming that we can maintain above 39.2 especially, which we have not thus far, then I'd be looking for this one to pull through, and I'd be looking at this as your next pivot right here. That last lower high coming in from yesterday at 25.75. If that gets taken out to the upside, I would look for this one to return to range highs about 28.5 to 2,900, and then probably sets it up for a drive later on into like 3,300 or so. But it's all up to Bitcoin right here. If Bitcoin fails, this thing will come down, and it will come down hard, and it'll probably come down somewhere around about 2,200 short term for a little bit of a short bounce, and then likely continuation down to 20, just below 2,100, and probably even sets it up for like a weekly break long term. And we could talk about targets down to 1,400 after that. Again, I do think that Bitcoin matters more here, and I do think that Bitcoin is showing some more interesting signals in this. But if it was just up to Ethereum, I'd be extremely fucking bearish. But the fact of the matter, or the matter of the fact, yeah, that's it. Is that it's typically not, and I do favor Bitcoin's analysis over that. So I'd give it the benefit of the doubt. Is what I'm trying to say in a long way. Chris says, if someone had a score in crypto and wanted to have a professional manager, what do you mean score? Like a big account? Some idea for investment management, private equity. Okay, so basically, let me see if I understand what you're asking. Basically, you're asking, how would I, who should I look for like to manage my accounts? Probably no one who offers that to you, especially in the comment section of a YouTube channel. That would be a very bad way to do it. Who do you go to? I don't know, man. I'm not really familiar with like crypto funds, so I don't have an answer for you, honestly. Or at least I couldn't verify any answers. I would say find someone, do some Googling around. They should be able to be, rather transparent with their results, but understand that for the most part, like when you're talking about funds and whatnot, or investment management, I mean, there's just a lot of horror stories with that, and there's a reason why they're an investment manager, not with their own wealth, but with other people's wealth. Look, if you know how to trade, there's very little upside to trading another person's account. One, you're going to make less money because you're just getting a fraction, like usually like 2% for management, on what they're going to make. And then on top of that, it's like you have the added pressure of basically having a boss, and they're going to have like no fucking idea what you're doing, assuming that you are a professional trader and you're being a little more active. And so it's going to be like just a massive headache. So that's kind of the problem with it. I don't know. Can you invest with Paul Tudor Jones? Maybe. I don't know. But realistically, man, if you just wanted to like get exposure and just not kind of have to think about it, I mean, when you say investment, I think long term. If you're thinking very long term, I mean, maybe you just put yourself out of misery and just do Bitcoin and Ethereum, or just like a couple of the majors, and kind of diversify yourself that way. I don't know. Maybe you're like 5-10 years down the road. I don't know. I don't know with just that amount of of a comment. So it's hard to say, but I would say definitely verify the person. I don't have any particular ones in mind, and I also don't know exactly what you mean by. So you're saying not crypto fund, like a major financial advisor firm. I'm looking for education and real portfolio management. Well, if you're looking for education and real portfolio management, that is different than like investing in getting like a financial advisor. A financial advisor is going to like invest your money for you, presumably. So that's a different game. I'm not into that game. I've never put my money with someone else, and I usually don't like feel too good about that, and there's a lot of bad stories with that. So I think you'd have to do your own research on that one, man. I don't have a relevant answer for you because I just don't have any experience there. White Lotus of Light says, hey brother, what's up, man? I hope you and Elsa are well. I think she is, and she's actually in her pink ranger outfit right now, so it's good. You asked me about my name. I do Vedic astrology and guest interviews. Really? What does that even mean? What is Vedic astrology? How is that different to regular astrology? I have so many questions now. 1 inch daily, weekly, monthly. Okay, any exchange. All right. Fact though, there's not going to be enough history for a monthly. Okay, you said daily, weekly, monthly. Yeah, this one's also an example of another altcoin that's playing relatively well. Did test the top side of the daily range here, which is good. Nice little sign, relatively speaking. You do have a slew of higher lows here, which is good. We like that always. Something like this, what I'd be looking towards. But again, going to depend on what Bitcoin does here, I imagine. 4 hours showing a little bit more short-term strength, I'd say, based upon the 21 right here. I'd probably be looking for this one to pop back up around $4. Anyways, you are not asking about short-term time frames. You're asking about daily, weekly, monthly. Let's see what the weekly says. sloppy on the weekly. I don't have much to say about the weekly. I don't know. There's not enough history. Same thing on monthly. I look at this more or less as like a high term time frame consolidation. If you put a gun to my head, I do think that you can use yesterday's high as a continuation point, meaning that if you check out what is this, 395 to the upside, I would extend targets significantly into this region over here, somewhere around about 469, maybe even all the way up to about 530-ish region. Somewhere in here would look pretty damn good. But the monthly looks to me like we're just kind of consolidating, and this would be a generally healthy consolidation after a massive upside move. And this one is actually acting better than most altcoins. But look for direction on Bitcoin, and guess what? Bitcoin's right around that 39,200-ish level. Ooh baby, I think she's gonna pull through. I think she might just do it. Nope, we don't have a buy hourly closing. What about a 3 hour? Oh man, no other higher term time frames other than an hourly are closing. Oh well, I do think that it's gonna have a chance here, and it does look like it wants to pull through a little bit. All right, Bitcoin, we're rooting for you right now. Save the market, please. Operation save the market, sir. All right, let me just see over here. Okay, and back onto the comments right here. Oh, there he is. What's up, Josh, man? How you doing, man? Yo, bro, vet 12 hour, please. Let's do it. VET USD. Okay, you're looking probably over here. Let's see how vet is holding up during this whole thing. Neither strong nor weak, kind of right there in the middle of the pack. However, what's very interesting about VET is that it does look like it has a bit of a bear trappy going on right here too. I'd like to see the 12-hour close above the last sort of high structure at 1134, and then I'd actually confirm this as a pretty damn good bear trap. And I'd be looking for moves back up towards the 200 right here in 55 cross, somewhere about 12.5 cent. Again, going to depend more or less what Bitcoin does, but look, you do have a potential higher low in place right here. Taking out this prior high right here would actually imply a nice little move to the upside. Looking at the daily, what else do we have? Sir, are you okay? Looking at the daily, a lot more sloppy on the daily, to be honest. Let's see what momentum oscillators look like right here. 12-hour are up on the TSI. 12-hour, ooh, here's a very interesting one, Mr. Josh. If you see 12-hour phantom div confirmed, which will be confirmed with any sort of a closure here or higher, yeah, I would be looking for a move back up past 12 cent. And this probably does turn into a little bit of a bear trap. But again, easier to watch Bitcoin in my opinion. And this one will very likely follow through. And it's kind of like on par for the course there. So, okay. Super Ghoulie Lee says, can we take a look at one more, please? Sure. Oh, you want to look at Dow Jones futures? Yeah. We can definitely look at this one. This one's definitely the weakest of the big three that I look at as far as major indices go. Yeah, man, daily is just keeling on over. I mean, that is pathetic right there. I do think it's kind of ready for a bit of a short-term bounce, perhaps. But long-term, does it come down to like 33? I think so, man. It doesn't look too hot here. We are definitely seeing rotations, and anywhere below last month's low, I mean, that is going to be long-term problematic. So let's see. Let's put on linear. Go down to like low-term time frames first. I'd give it a chance to bounce here first. Give it a chance to bounce. Maybe it does, surprise a bit. Maybe it does get picked up by the broad market. I mean, NASDAQ and SPY futures are still kind of rangy sideways and down, but long-term still decent. This one, not as much. We got all sorts of things in our face right here. Okay, you got your obvious high side structure right there. Look, if you want to make an excuse for it, this is what you'd be looking at right here. Something like a higher low in the making, but do momentum oscillators suggest that? Not really, actually. I mean, maybe, if you do confirm a higher low right here, then you will have hidden bullish divergence, and you will see moves back up towards 34.3, 34.4 region, and this starts to look pretty damn good. But this one's definitely sloppy. BBWP is expanding right here. This one is in the midst of actually creating a bit of a move, so I would be a bit cautious on this one, honestly. Weekly looks a lot more sloppy. Weekly looks, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the weekly here. Okay, let's look at the quarterly as well. Let's see. Yeah, quarterly looks a little bit more toppy to me too. I'm seeing a lot of signals of potential weakness here coming into the end of the month, but there is another couple weeks to go, so it is a little bit difficult. Then again, I look at momentum oscillators, and this probably is going to be a fake out. Quarterly RSI is back in the bullish control zone, playing out hidden bullish divergence, and quarterly TSI looks like wants to test turn up as well. Will actually turn up with any sort of a closure. Well, not here. 37,600 is where it needed, but would set it up well for the end of the year, actually. So take that as you will, but I'd give it a chance to bounce here first, come back to it after that. Other than that, I don't have strong opinions on it. This one is definitely the weakest of the major three right now. And if we are playing out rotations, then I'd be looking for it. I'd be looking for a higher low right there, play back into the top side of the range while the others get rotated down. But a bit more of a difficult chart there on its own. Jack Asselman says, could you please check out Ethereum Bitcoin daily weekly? Yes, absolutely, because this one is going to be relatively interesting, I imagine, as Bitcoin dominance chart did suggest earlier. And what do we have? What do we have? And you said daily weekly. This one's actually a little bit weaker. Actually a little bit weaker than whatever was the last one that we saw. You're looking at daily weekly. I mean, you got an obvious low side support somewhere right around just below 6 million satoshis. We did hit our target from yesterday, right around at 6 million satoshis. And technically speaking, I should be looking for a bounce here. Do we see anything resembling a bounce? I mean, this one looks a lot more weak on the short-term timeframes. Then again, we do have regular bullish evidence. Then again, we do have 4-hour TSI looking for a turn up. Then again, we do see 4-hour Joule is somewhat bouncy at the very least, and we do see that volatility is looking to expand. So I'd give this one a chance to bounce first, actually. I'd give this one a chance to bounce first, but I am a bit more concerned about the higher term timeframes here. I mean, the 12-hour looks like shit. Jesus Christ. That is not good. 2-day, 3-day, 5-day. Yeah, 5-day does say that we have a little bit of downside here. Let's see. What about the higher term time? Okay, weekly, did we test the 10 simple? We did. Yeah, so first bounce, and then I want to see it after the bounce. Bounce can go up all the way to like 6.4 million satoshis and not really do all that much. The bounce is not interesting to me, meaning that like it has any sort of more medium or higher term time frame complications until we get back above this last lower high right here on the 4-hour, and that's about 6.5 million satoshis. So above there, I'll start to look at this as likely another higher low on the daily. It would be a bit of a higher low on the daily. It doesn't look like it right now, but it would be. But until that happens, short term, yeah, a bit of a reactionary bounce here. However, continuation to prior lows at around just below 6 million satoshis will be implied with any sort of a 4-hour closure below basically the last closure there, about 6.16 million satoshis. And I got too many lines here because we are looking at a bunch of different time frames, but something like that. Get rid of this one right here. It's not relevant or even necessary to begin with. I fucking hate diagonals. All right, MFH says, hey, yo, you skipped me. Elsa skipped you. Blame her. Okay, so Elsa's fired, and we can't find... If apparently your comment gets skipped, the best thing... God damn it. Can you not throw shit at my goddamn computers? If your comment does get skipped for whatever reason, it's obviously not intentional, but the best thing to do is to remind Elsa and first reprimand her, tell her that she's worthless, and then just kidding, I love you, and then basically repost the comment. All right, you found it. All right, we found it. All right, let's see what we got. What is it, sir? Gold, USD, 4-hour and daily. Okay. I have gold spot here. Where are you, gold spot, you little bitch, you? Where are you? Okay, there it is. Found it. 1814. Let's go to the daily. All right, so we did get our breakdown here. Nasty, nasty, nasty gold. I would be looking for a bounce relatively soon, man. Anywhere around 1800, which we pretty much already got to. Yeah, I'd be looking for bounces here, man. And then what time frame are we looking at? Stop using that crown. All right, gold USD. Okay, you're looking on FOMC. Is that gold spot or is that something completely different? Let's see. No, it does look like gold. Yes. Okay, so you're looking at 4-hour and daily. 4-hour, I'd be looking for bounces within this region. Anywhere around 1800, I'm looking for a bounce, and it looks like we actually already got there pretty much. 1808 or 1806 is close enough in this case. Daily, I'd be looking for a bit of resistance right around about 1840-ish region, give or take a few bucks. Long term, though, on the weekly, do I think that we could come lower? It's possible, yes. I think it's more relevant to look at this chart right here for historical relevancy. Monthly, I still like. So, regardless of whether this one comes down a little bit more over time or not, I actually do still like this one on the monthly. Weekly could try for a low right here. I mean, it's pretty fucking close to where I would have been looking for, which was 1795. We got down to 1803, actually. Yeah, about $8 away. Close enough is close enough in this case. But again, looking at the monthly, and let's see what the quarterly looks like here too. Quarterly is not as interesting, but it does still look like a nice base after a break of prior time highs. See what the 6 months looks like. It's okay. Still a little bit of time to go, but I'd give it a chance to bounce first. Bounce first and then come back to it and maybe destroy a little bit more. But ultimately, I don't necessarily hate its long-term structure if that's what you're asking about. All right, cool. How deep into this are we? 2 hours. Holy fook. We are 2 hours into this one right now. All right, let me just pull up a few chats. We'll stay around for a few more minutes and then call it a day. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. These chats are flying by right now. Hold on. Let me wait till it gets to the bottom here. it like updates the chats all at once when I look at when I look at the actual YouTube stream instead of Elsa's comments. Can you check out Ethereum Classic, please? Yeah, we can look at that. ETC, USD. Let's see what some of these altcoins look like. I imagine probably not great. And yeah, not great. But again, whatever Bitcoin does, this one will follow as well. You do confirm a bit of a bear trap with any sort of a move back above 59 and a quarter. Targets would be $70, maybe even more. By the same token, doesn't look too hot right there, to be honest with you. Again, man, whatever Bitcoin does, this one will do as well. But short term, very likely next move to the upside, 58.5 at the very least. All right, cool. We already looked at Cardano a million goddamn times. We do not look at fractals because fractals are bullshit and very much untradeable. They're not bullshit, but they're just untradeable. You can't manage risk off of a fucking fractal. That's the problem with it. Bet we literally looked at like 10 minutes ago. Mara, there we go. Mara, okay, we got something new. Mara is a miner, I believe. Let's see. Decent here, actually. This would actually be a very good signal for Bitcoin here, too. If we see these corollaries do well, then typically that is a forwards-looking signal. Yeah, 2-day, very obvious here, too. I'll be looking for this one to pop back up to 30, what is this, 34.5? 34.5 or so. Looks decent here. Weekly, a little bit under pressure, but I do look at this as a higher low, and we are at least respecting the golden cross for now. I think it's playable. Hidden bullish divergence off that last low, but that move's kind of already played out. I actually do like this, at least for another short-term try to the upside. And this actually does bode well for Bitcoin as well. Daily's fine. I don't have any issues with that. 4 hour is consolidation. Winning Choice 87 says, hi, Krown. Polkadot, USD, please, 4 hour daily. Sure. Symbol DOT, derp. You're looking at 4 hour and daily. 4 hours, decent short term. Be looking for a move back up to about 24.5. Probably even extends all the way to 25.5 if I had to guess. I mean, this one's actually looking okay here. Definitely different than most altcoins. Definitely slightly relatively strong in comparison to like Ethereum. This one's looking a bit bear trappy right there too. But I really want to see the short-term timeframes pull through. And actually, this one's a little bit easier to look at on the short-term timeframes than the daily in this case. Short-term, very likely back around, like I said, about 24.25, 24.5 region. However, do I think that it extends all the way up to the 200s here to like 25.75? Momentum oscillators do say yes. BBWP was doing this whole move on very, very low volatility. 4 hour RSI is neutral bullish. 4 hour TSI is neutral, slightly bullish as well. I suspect that it probably does try around here. Now, here's the thing. While I do think that it's relatively likely to test around here, this would be my big area for myself. Again, probably easy to watch Bitcoin in this case, but if I was just looking at this, $26 is where I'd be looking towards, and above there, I'd be looking for a whole nice move up to about 29.5 to $30. And this one actually looks decently okay. I do think that this one's a little bit more on the relatively strong side, and again, Bitcoin's going to decide the direction, but right now it does look like it wants to try a little bit of uppity up. Yeah, same thing on Bitcoin, man. I think Bitcoin probably does pull through here. Did we just close the hourly? We are closing it in 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Look, I really don't like using hourlies in these cases, but it's the best that we got right now for a bit of hopium, baby. Maybe a 90 minute. 90 minute will, no, it's got another 30 minutes, but it is looking like a bear trap right here, to be honest with you. Missing the Twitch, bro. Hope all is well. Yeah, man. All is well, Mr. Meccan, and good to see you, man. But yeah, I'll get to it in a second, sir. But I just want to talk with Meccan. Yeah, man. I'll definitely be back on Twitch relatively soon. But this week has just been filled with like extracurricular activities. I did my whole bank thing yesterday. I think I'm settled there. Today I have a bit of a house viewing. The day before that, I had some sort of call that I need to get to. And the day before that, I think I was just resting a bit. But hopefully tomorrow, Friday, we should be back on, and definitely over the weekend as well. All right, here we go. I missed this one right here. The Joel Bear. I panic sold everything at the local low. Now waiting for it to go up a little higher before I buy back in to make sure I lose max value. Well, you're doing a good job. You're doing a very good job of wrecking yourself, sir. It sounds like I panic sold at the low. I'm waiting for things to go back up so I can buy back higher and then have maximum pain. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. If that's the case, you should actually wait until Bitcoin gets to like $50,000 and then definitely buy back so you can get ready for the next max pain back to like, mid 30s, $30,000. There you go. Now you can feel it deep inside your plums as well. Anyways, I think this is a good place to start to, hopefully that was just a joke comment. I think this is a good place to start to wrap this bitch up. Okay, so I do think that we have this potential bear trap in in progress here. It's still not necessarily fully confirmed, but it is certainly a strong probability. And again, this is being based off of the funny rates down here. They are still majoritively negative and actually very negative on BitMEX still. This is based off structure. Volume signature right here, I think is rather telling. It was also event-based as well. We do see BBWP over here looking for expansion coming off these lows on a bit of a short-term reversal. All short-term timeframes are showing some bullish momentum signals like the hourly, bi-hourly. Hey, show it to me. Rejection of the bearish control zone. 3 hour is what? Just a neutral retest, and 4 hours a bullish reset there too. I've given this one the benefit of the doubt, man. I don't really have a reason to be like full on bearish as long as Bitcoin is above basically yesterday's short-term downside pivot target if 39.3 did get taken out, which was pretty much tested already at $38,000. So, you know, if Bitcoin does break $38,000 to the downside, I would look for this one to actually come down rather significantly back to like 36 or 35 or so. Probably set up for another short-term time frame bounce and then doom once again, you know, after that. But a lot of altcoins do not look very strong right now. So that'd be the biggest counterpoint to a lot of things that I'm saying. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin does usually set the direction. In this case, you know, back above here, I would be looking for Bitcoin to float its way back up north of $40,000, and basically the same things that we've been speaking about for the last couple of weeks here very much do apply. So with that said, I'd like to wish you the best once again. Take care, and hopefully, actually, one second before we even do that, let's just do the perusal right here. Yeah, so if Bitcoin does close this next 4 hour doodle above 38.9, we will see momentum turn up there. 3 hour is already turning up and will remain to the upside as long as above 38.7. Bi-hourly is 38.5, already up, and hourly is already up 38.650. So yeah, I do think that you know, I do think that if we see that next tick there, looking pretty damn decent. Anyways, with that said, I want to wish you the best. Take care, and hopefully see you soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate. Pause it, list it, send it,